Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Shatterpoint. We've got another post from Atomic Mass Games giving us some more art. We're going to be looking at not the squad leaders this time, but the second in command characters that we're going to be seeing in the core box. So we're gonna just take a look at these, and I think it is not a whole lot to talk about here. It's just a couple of images. They look cool. It's a cool art style. If you haven't already seen them, I think they do look pretty cool. We're gonna talk about those. We're gonna start with Bo-Katan. I really like this one. It's a really great representation of her. Again, we have got that comic book art style. It is actually pretty groovy, but one of my concerns was that it doesn't kind of match the style of the other games, which of course it doesn't have to, but it's just like a departure from, I guess, the direction that they went with the other games, like, between the RPG, the Star Wars deck builder, all the games under Fantasy Flight Games, they would reuse a lot of art. And this one is in a different style under AMG that it's like, I don't think they'll really be able to reuse this in Legion or in something like that, for example, just because it is in that comic book style. Really well drawn, very crisp, very clean. I'm digging it, and I think there's more things to talk about with when we get through these. We've got Rex here. Rex has just shot up a B1 battle droid, and it's still smoking, which is pretty cool. Rex looks, he's got a take no prisoners attitude right there. We've got Kraken, who is definitely giving me Thrawn vibes in this particular image. He's got the hand behind his back, he's pointing off to the distance. What do you think he's pointing at? Let me know down in the comments. By the way, speaking of comments, we are giving away a lightsaber that is running throughout the end of the year. Also, we have 12 days of Life Day giveaway going on. All you have to do to enter to win any of those is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. I want to hear what you think Kraken is pointing at. Also, want to thank all of my patrons. You guys are amazing and help make this whole channel possible. So thank you guys. And if you were interested in learning more or want to get in the Discord or any of that cool stuff, we have links in the video description below. But yeah, Kraken looks pretty cool. Then we've got Gar Saxon. I wonder if the other Mandalorians tease him and call him Gar Saxon. I don't know. That's a terrible kind of dad joke, right? But I think that's what people would actually say. But I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe they wouldn't. Gar Saxon's over there kind of shooting downward. Really cool dynamic shot. I think that's one of the things they're going for a lot more with these, is they're trying to get more kind of non-typical poses with a lot of these folks, and they look pretty good. The thing that I wonder about all of these is, they're calling these guys the second in commands, but it's not like it's in quotation second in command. AMG's tweet says, leaders are nothing without a second in command. Which Star Wars Shatterpoint card art is your favorite out of these four? And so I wonder if they're going to have like some kind of basic mechanic that says like you have to have like a squad leader, and you have to have a second in command, and you have to have two grunts or troopers or something like that. Like, I wonder if it's going to be that way, or if the second in command is just going to be another named character that doesn't have a leadership ability. Like, to equate it, I'm going to borrow terms from other games to kind of talk about how I wonder how these characters are going to work. And one of those things that I'm going to compare it to is Marvel Crisis Protocol, for example. Let's say Ahsoka has a leadership ability, and maybe that's a cool leadership ability, and maybe you can run her and Anakin at the same time, but only one of them can be the leader. Like, only one can take point on this mission, right? And maybe you also get a second in command's like secondary leadership ability, and maybe these second in commands have a secondary leadership ability, and so when you're building your squad, when you get ready to start the game, you have to pick which leadership ability you're going to use and which secondary leadership ability you're going to use, and you're locked into those for the whole game, right? Again, I'm just speculating, but wouldn't this be interesting? Wouldn't it be a cool way to make these truly like second in command characters? I don't know if they're just second in command, just kind of like just they're throwing that term around loosely because they're not leaders, or are they second in command because they have some kind of ability that gives them a secondary command type of ability. Again, I don't know. We're going to have to wait. If you have questions like that, like I do, let me know down in the comments section. We have a Shatterpoint section in our Discord. Of course, we have there's an unofficial fan Facebook group, as well as the official Atomic Mass Games Facebook group that are out there to talk about all of these things. There's a lot of information we just don't know right now. We don't even know if the game uses dice or card-based combat, and how similar it's going to be to Marvel Crisis Protocol, if it's going to be similar to Legion, if it's going to be completely different than anything we've ever seen before. Like maybe it'll be a dexterity game where you just line up all your figures and roll marbles and try to knock them down, right? I mean, obviously it's probably not that. That would be pretty cool. No, I don't think. I have a feeling it's going to feel familiar, because I feel like, what I think they're going to do is they're going to probably borrow certain concepts and ideas that worked in Marvel Crisis Protocol, and probably, take what was good and keep that working, and maybe make some changes to things that either were inconsequential, like it's okay if we change this, or fix some things that may have been broken. I've heard a lot of people say that, for example, retailers had a harder time keeping Marvel Crisis Protocol in stock because you've got like 1 and 2 like packs in a character pack. And so you end up having so many SKUs or so many expansions, so many separate boxes, that it takes up a lot more shelf space. And so if by having maybe groups of 4, it's possible you could get more shelf space in there. The only thing that I worry about with that is that if you've got characters like Anakin and Rex grouped together in a group of 4 with like then maybe 2 501st clones, well, you still only have like 2 like noteworthy characters in there, and you got 2 generic characters. Like how, I don't know if that really solves the problem of like only having 2 characters in a pack, and how long can they do that for? If I don't know if it's going to be 4 characters in a box. That's kind of what we think, though, based on some of the earlier images that we've seen when we saw, Luminara and Barriss with 2 clone commandos, for example. It's like you're getting a pretty clear picture of how it's going to look, but that doesn't mean that they're all sold together. I expect them to be bundled. That seems like that would make sense to me, especially after like the Cody and Waxer and Boyle kind of stuff. Like you're getting, you're getting certain groups of characters shown together that seems to indicate that they're going to be putting larger groups of characters together in a single box. I just think that that's a very good formula to give people access to a lot of stuff that they didn't have access to before. And I wouldn't mind seeing more of that in the future. But it also kind of begs the question, will it always be like a high profile, like a really popular character, a slightly less popular character, and then 2 generic characters? Because then you might still have the same problem you do with Marvel Crisis Protocol, where it's like, oh, we want to stock Captain America, but that means we also have to stock, somebody else who is maybe less popular, and but then you still have just as many, character boxes, and maybe the boxes are bigger if you've got 4 sprues in there. Again, especially if the miniatures are larger too. So lots of questions. I have to stay tuned to AMG's social media, see what they have to publish later this month, and really later next month. We're already at the end of November, so we'll see if they do any live streaming in December. I think there's supposed to be 1 or 2 more live streams, so hopefully we'll get a little more information on Marvel Crisis Protocols, not Marvel Crisis Protocol, but Star Wars Shatterpoint. Halfway through saying that, my brain is like, wait a second, different game. But I feel like they're likely to have a lot of similar elements. Similar designers will do that for games. So like a lot of Eric Lang, who's one of my favorite game designers of all time, a lot of his games have similar theme elements and playstyle elements, and they have that flavor. So I expect this game to have a similar flavor to Marvel Crisis Protocol, but I want to hear what you guys think. Again, it was just some images that we got today. They're pretty cool looking. I do like the art style. It's definitely going to be a different kind of flavor of Star Wars, and I kind of hope it's compatible with Marvel Crisis Protocol. I'm not gonna lie. I hope it is, but if it's compatible but has a little more depth, so it's not tournament compatible but like homebrew compatible, would be really cool. Especially if you have like secondary leadership abilities, and then you have to like figure out hey, what command ability am I going to use, and what secondary command am I going to use? Because now the same list could function very, very differently depending on which leadership ability you pick and which secondary to complement that one. The exact same list could be run 4 completely different ways if you got 2 different commanders and 2 different, second in command, which could be really wild. And I also want to know, am I going to have to take generics? And if not, how much is it going to punish me if I don't take generics? In my ideal scenario, the generics would just be like those 2-point characters they have in Marvel Crisis Protocol, like those ones that you can just kind of throw into a list, and maybe you just need like 1 or 2 in a list. You don't need that many, because I feel like this is a game where I'm not going to want an army of generic clone troopers. I feel like that's Legion, and so like I'm okay with like having 2, but if every Jedi is gonna have to come with 2 clones, eventually I'm gonna have way more clones than I ever wanted. I'm afraid that it's gonna feel a lot like Legion. So I guess we'll have to wait and see like who's Mace Windu gonna come with, right? Like these are questions that I have going. I have so many questions. And we're going to get answers next year in 2023. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for this particular video. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me today. A big thanks to my patrons. You guys helped make this channel possible, so thank you for your continued support. I will talk to you guys later. May the force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. So say we all. Party on, dudes. And Hakuna Matata!